Hi, guys. I'm Adam,
And I'm Emily Chanel.
and this is our first episode with Emily as a new IFBB Pro.
Yay!
So, first of all, congratulations. Huge victory. The first Fit Model Pro Card given out in the United States, and the first Fit Model Natural Pro ever. So, how exciting is that?
It is still so surreal. It really is. Just so much gratitude. And people come up and like, congratulations. And I'm just still overwhelmed. It's still such a surreal feeling. And it's still I think the division itself is still very new. So it's still evolving. And it's exciting, like watching the new shows and the directions that it's going. And just, it's nice to have a little break, and not have any pro shows this year until next year.
Yeah, absolutely. From a coach's perspective, this was so interesting because I've had many people turn pro, but this was different for so many different reasons. You know, there's a lot of pressure going in, like after all the podcasting, after everything we had done leading up to the show, there were a lot of eyes on you. And, there's so much to say here. So basically, there was a lot of pressure because I had never YouTubed with an athlete ever, like leading up to this. And for a minute, when you were in Pittsburgh, I had worried if the podcast put extra pressure on you because I think you were feeling it a bit when you were down there. You were just a little nervous. But I think you pulled through and did wonderful. Another first is just a first. I've never, I had a wellness pro the first year wellness came out, but it wasn't a first. And when they called the other girl's number as runner up, I just immediately jumped off the couch and started clapping because I knew it was you that won. And I had assumed that you had won the overall. But I was just really taken back by, oh my gosh, like, what are the chances we would document this whole darn thing from day one
Right?
to this? And it's just, I want to say as we close out this series, but the series still continues. But as we do this episode, like, wow, what are the chances that all these firsts happened and just aligned at once? That was so crazy to me.
It really was. And then too, like with the first show and you bringing Fran and doing the whole vlogging it, I'm like, why are they vlogging it? Like,
Yeah.
it's extra. It's so extra. But then I would look back and I'm like, wow, that's history. I'm so happy I did it. And
Yeah.
that like motivated me to do my own vlogs,
Yeah.
and leading up to the shows to get just a different perspective. And like you said, it is new. So I feel like a lot of people are just kind of eager on the direction it's going to go and what's going to come out of it.
I think the great thing is like what attracts people to you is your honesty and your transparency. And what's really cool is I think, a lot of coaches just podcast with the athlete, but the athlete doesn't do anything outside of the podcast. And I think what's great is we would either have to really strategically coordinate everything that we say or do, but I'm so comfortable in our process and what we do that I love that you're vlogging to show you're following through on what we're doing. And it's amazing because I don't worry about it ever being against the grain because everything we say here is honest, authentic. And again, I always say you were really out on the front lines, putting yourself out there as the first fit model and now first fit model IFBB Pro. It's really cool to see it all come together.
I will say, I think I had a lot of expectations for myself at the Pittsburgh show, and that's why I was getting a little bit just nervous and questioning everything, because I know what I'm capable of doing, and I wanted to present that the best I could. And I feel like when have eyes on you, especially in this new division, it kind of gets to you, and it makes you just kind of question, like, I guess like imposter syndrome, I would say, like, am I really this good or not? And then I think I just had a lot of expectations for myself. And that's why I was getting really nervous, going into Pittsburgh and everything.
Yeah.
So,
It's funny you mentioned imposter syndrome. And I feel like this year has really been a year of Zen for me. And I feel like I finally solved it, and it's just being comfortable with who you are, what you do, and not in a cocky way. We always know everything can be taken from us at any second. And always remember that. But always come forward with your best self. And when you have imposter syndrome, it doesn't allow you to do that. So you kind of suffered some moments of like reclusing your greatness, right? When you do that. But what do you think it was that made you pull through?
Honestly, the reassurance I would get from you, the people, like the support that I've been receiving, and even I think I would say the support from the IFBB NPC itself. They were really just so welcoming in Pittsburgh, and it just made me feel more confident within myself.
Yeah, we had a lot of great feedback in Fresno from, everybody too. And that was really reaffirming for, I think, all of us. Yeah. And that was always good. So, these judges are here to help you. And, they can only do so much because they only see so many athletes. But we really had a lot of great direction.
Yes. I would say like doing these shows, it kind of helped build that confidence over and over again, so just from the feedback, because the more you do it, I think the more comfortable you get, the more, the more practice you're getting, more critiques, positive criticism, and you're able to just get better through each show. So I'm like so grateful that things happened the way they did, because if not, going into a pro season, I would still feel a little uncomfortable and at that imposter syndrome. But now, after doing Pittsburgh and doing all of these shows, I'm very confident and comfortable with what I'm going to bring on that pro stage, because I was able to compete for 6 months straight.
Yeah.
So I think that really helped me just develop who I am, even though like at Pittsburgh, I was still like, iffy, but after getting my pro card, still so surreal, but it made me just, wow, I did that. I'm here, and I think I'm ready for that next level.
You are, and you're ready to compete and not just participate. And granted, we had to wait a year to do that. Yeah. But I'm so excited to see how the division unfolds. We've seen a lot happen ever since you got your pro card. The first junior nationals happened. We kind of predicted who was going to be in that mix pretty well, which is how that panned out. I think there was one that we just weren't really following that made it through. Yeah. And she looked great. I shouldn't say made it through, but she got the pro card of the three. They all looked great, and their potential competition as we move forward. But congratulations to them on joining the league along with Emily. And, we're looking forward to all learn from each other and kind of see what happens next year with all these pro shows. But, the goal is to put you on the Olympia stage in the first year and not just participate, be there to compete. And
absolutely,
our work kind of started right away once you got back to fabulous Las Vegas.
I had a week break where I was with family, just kind of, de-stressing a little bit. And now I'm like back, and I'm like, okay, I'm back on the grind. And I have goals, I have goals that I have for myself and dreams that I need to put in the work for. And I'm not scared to put in that work,
No, not at all.
I'm ready for this. I'm just doing this like mini, off growth season, and then back to prep for the pro stage.
Absolutely. And we have to see when those pro shows are, but once they happen, we're going to be in it. And they should have some natural pro shows, which will be really cool. Yes. So there's going to be a lot of opportunity for you because you have both avenues open for you as a pro, which is great.
Absolutely. And I think Fit Model too is one of those that it's maintainable all year, all seasons. And, you can do it naturally.
Yeah, yeah.
So I truly believe that.
I do too. There's a genetic component to everything, but I think what's so magical about the sport is like, what if that drive and determination just takes someone past their genetic, well, maybe not past, but challenges people who have genetic potential, but maybe don't work as hard. And I think what's sad to me about bodybuilding is I think there's so many people, like if they don't get the pro card, they really start hating on bodybuilding. And to me, it's like, well, you missed the whole point, because this isn't just bodybuilding, it's mind building, it's life building. And as you've like furthered your career, it makes so much sense today that you're an IFBB pro with, you know, you just put full force, determination, and effort into everything you do. You're someone who does not get distracted easily. You know, I know when I text you your feedback, it might be 5 hours till, because you're focused on whatever it is you're doing. If it's work, you're in work mode.
Yeah.
If we're talking about prep, it's in prep mode.
Yeah.
If you're training, you're not talking much. You're getting after it. And I love that you can turn on and off those things so well, because I think that's what makes you successful in everything, is the fact that you're able to really hone in and focus on whatever you're doing at that time. And that really stands out to me as a coach just by watching.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, I feel like that's really important to stay present, stay in the moment with whatever you're doing, and you have to give that 100%. And that's something about me is like when I train, that's my time. You know, and that's my time that I get for myself. And I want to make sure that it's no phones, you know, if anything, just for music. But that's my time to give to myself. You know, when I'm working, that's my time to give to my clients. When I'm training with you, I'm like, this is our time to kind of reestablish and see kind of what's next and stuff. So I think it's important for someone to just stay present and in the moment, and whatever they're doing, always try to give it your 100% that day. Can look 100% can look different every day, but that day, you know, make sure that you're giving whatever you're doing your all.
That's something that I've gotten better about over the years. I used to multitask, or maybe multi-anxiety, worry about things I had no control over at the time. Well, one, set yourself up for success. Two, you know, be primarily focused on what you're focused on now. And, you know, as you guys have seen the podcast progress, I've lost weight during this time. I'm not sure how much from when we started the podcast, but it's 32 pounds down now total. So amazing. But I love that time in the gym. It's just so therapeutic. It really allows me to connect with you guys as far as, man, like that set was really hard, but I know all my clients are doing just as hard as sets as I am. And it's so rewarding. I really am glad that I'm back into taking care of myself along with taking care of everyone else, because I had a hard time balancing that before. And now I feel like I've finally got figured out.
That's good. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So since doing like the first Fit Model show, have you noticed an increase with Fit Model clients?
Yes. So definitely there's a lot of eyes on you and us as kind of being leaders and, you know, leading the division. I think still to this day, we have the most overalls in Fit Model. And yeah, there's definitely an increase in interest. And I think a lot of people are just trying to figure out what division is best for them. And I think for a lot of people, if they're staying natural, it's just going to be Fit Model. I tell women all the time, they're like, well, maybe I can grow into bikini. And I straight up ask them, do you want to go to the Olympia one day? And they're like, I would love that. Do you want to take PEDs? And they say no. I'm like, well, you probably want to do Fit Model then, because if you want to go to the Olympia, you're probably going to have to take some PEDs more than likely. And nothing against that, but that's just how the division's framed right now.
Yeah. I had a few, you know, people reach out to me and they're like, what made you switch from bikini to Fit Model? And I'm thinking about doing it, but they just want to hear my perspective. And it wasn't until that first show, I would say, that I'm like, okay, I'm a fit model.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I still had the bikini background, the bikini heart. That's what I've been doing for 4 years. And so I'll reply to everyone just saying, just do it. Just do fit model. If you're going to do a show, just do one fit model show. You
Yeah.
can get a suit off the rack. You know, you don't need to go super customized, and just to see what the feedback is. And that's when you'll really know if you should stay fit model or maybe go to bikini. But I think just doing it, you know, is always the first step, because I didn't know from that first show. And I was actually thinking I was too big.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I'm like, I've been training. I had a whole year and a half off of growth season. Like, I'm way too big for fit model. And then the support I received, the feedback I've had, I'm like, I am actually just right. And I wouldn't have known that if I wouldn't have done that first show and had that courage and that step. So those people who are unsure and have been doing bikini, I'm like, just do it. You never know what direction it's going to go, and you won't know until you step on stage.
Yeah, absolutely. And you always have the right to do whatever division you prefer, even though if your body is technically fit model and you maybe like bikini for certain reasons, suit, jewelry, you know, or stones on the suit, that's fine. And you've got to you only live once. You get to do the division that's, you know, best for you, or the one you like the most. I have a client right now I joke about. She's Fizz model. She's like women's physique leanness, but fit model size. And
oh my goodness.
I just said you're between divisions, but she loves doing women's physique because she loves the posing routine. And I can't hate on that. You know, there's just really not quite a division exactly for her, but she's got a great physique and she deserves to present it. She's a pretty hardcore exerciser, dieter, so it gives her, you know, goals to work for. So we're obviously working on growing and increasing size.
Absolutely. And that's what people say, that what's next for me? Like, what's the plan? And I'm here to ask you, what's the plan? What do you think the plan is?
So the plan's to keep your symmetry and grow, primarily glutes. But, you know, when we train glutes, we're going to engage the legs a little bit. So just keep the balance and shape that you have and just bring it back a little bit bigger. But, you know, so far feedback has been not to really change a whole lot. So, but I think having a little bit of size will definitely help hold you up in the pro division a little bit better. So
I agree. And I also believe that if I were to grow, let's say bicep, tricep, and just like everywhere, as long as I remain symmetrical and balanced, I'm not going to look too big. You know,
yes.
I think you look too big when you have maybe parts that may be overpowering. But I think if I just continue to train the way I've been training, things kind of will remain. I'll still look balanced and not overly powerful in that division.
We see that in bikini a lot. Like girls train their shoulders and not their arms, and then they their shoulders look dominant more so because their arms are small. And I know Sandy started harping on girls about that a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, same balance, symmetrical, and just keep doing the hard work, like your mindset, your ability to stick to a plan. And you know, we rotated in some new foods this time for our reverse, which is great. And that's been awesome. And I think a little bit of food rotation, since Emily prefers meal plans, is always a great thing. Hammer some different enzymes that you were, you know, not necessarily using or maybe overusing when you were in prep. It's really great for digestion. And then the next step is us getting your GI map back, just to kind of see how the gut health is looking.
I should get that by next week, but that's something I wanted to get starting off season, was a GI map, just so I know where my body's at. You know I did put it through some stress from competing and stuff. So just that way we can kind of start fresh this off season and really get things in the right direction. If they are off, who knows? You know, we won't know until we get it back. But absolutely, I love having a meal plan because I'm like the easy work in the sense with food. I like knowing what I'm going to eat and stuff instead of having to calculate macros. People who calculate macros, more power to you. But to me, I just like knowing what I'm going to eat that day and do it all of that morning and stick to it.
Absolutely. What's your favorite meal on the meal plan right now?
Ooh, that's tough.
I was
Um,
going to guess breakfast.
I was gonna say breakfast and now my last meal because they're the same.
That's true. Yeah.
So my oats and blueberries, and then I do add a pack of Truvia to it, but that's my favorite.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
I do
amazing.
love my oats and blueberries.
So, what did you do to celebrate the Pro Card win that night?
So that night I wanted a PB&J burger. That's what I was craving, but every place was closed because we didn't like get off stage until 10. Like it was so
It was very late.
So
Yeah.
luckily we stayed at the host hotel, and I think we just ordered pizza
Nice.
and had pizza inside the hotel, and it was okay. I did get a cheesecake, but I didn't finish it because I didn't like it, and I didn't want to waste like my I didn't want to waste it on that cheesecake.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not to be bougie, but I'm like, I'm gonna save these calories for a good cheesecake.
That's
Um,
awesome.
But yeah, I just had a pizza, and then the next day I had a PB&J burger.
Did you go Burgatory?
I did, yes.
That place is amazing.
You've been there?
Yeah, one of my favorite places.
So good.
Yeah.
They had a PB&J burger. It was delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brittany Hamilton introduced me to Burgatory and Alex Mazurko, and it's probably one of the best burgers I've ever had. And that means a lot
Yes.
when you live in Vegas and
Oh,
there's so much good
absolutely.
food here.
Yes, and they had really good shakes. Dan got a shake, and I had a sip, and I'm like, ooh, that was really good. But next time I go to Pittsburgh next year, wink, I will definitely going to celebrate at Burgatory. And
That's
hopefully I
awesome.
won't be leaving at 10 p.m., so I'll be able to enjoy a meal that night.
That's so awesome. Well, it was so good having you on here. Congratulations. More to
Thank
come
you.
as Emily pursues competing in the Fit Model Pro division next year. And we're going to keep this going and keeping honest, transparent as we go and keep you guys in the loop as she evolves to the next level. So thank you guys for watching, and we will see you later, Leaner.
Bye, guys.